Hello and welcome to my guide for the Temple of the Fist with me, Meoni. This instance has 3 bosses. In this video I will show you the base mechanics and what you need to do to kill each one. Boss number 1 is the twin Coils. Immediately you will begin the fight facing Coeurlfist. This boss's first ability is Radial Blaster. This is a mid and melee ranged AoE circle for you to move out of. About 80% Sruti will summon another Coil, Coeurlfist. Sruti and Smrti will combine their abilities together now. Radial Blaster from Sruti will now be joined by a conal ability from the other Coil. You will need to run from these overlapping AoEs as soon as you see them, making sure to not stand in both, as the stacking damage will likely kill you. Focus down the first Coil, Sruti, and then go ham on Smrti. Smrti now does an Electric Burst AoE ability, which is an unavoidable AoE for your healer to heal through. His final ability is Heat Lightning. This puts purple markers on players' heads, which should be spread out without stacking too many of them, although their damage is fairly minimal. That's the whole fight, and once these fairly unpronounceable pair of Coils have been killed, we can get to boss number 2. Boss number 2 then is Arbuda. This fight includes the following attacks. Firstly, the boss will use Fourfold Shear, which is a large tank damage ability to heal through that's unavoidable. Secondly will be the move Fore and Aft. This, as the ability suggests, is a front and backwards AoE to avoid. Simply don't stand in front or behind the boss to avoid this casted ability. Cardinal Shift is an unavoidable AoE room-wide attack for your healer to lightly heal through, but does low damage. His next ability, Killer Instinct, will focus a player in your party and pulse a dragon head knockback against them, doing small damage and knocking them back more annoyingly, repeatedly until the attack fades. Port and Star is much like Fore and Aft, only this is to avoid the sides of the boss to avoid this attack. Once reaching below 70% health, the boss will use Hell Seal. This places coloured markers above players' heads. There are 4 circles around the room that will glow the same colour. Match the colours and stand on the platforms to avoid an attack, or you can get moderately damaged, the choice is yours. Next up you'll see an ability called Tapas. This will place down a series of circles that you'll need to keep moving from. They sort of trail behind your feet until they end, basically. You'll see maybe 3 or 4 phases of these circles before they actually disappear and he goes back to another ability. That's pretty much the fight for this boss, nothing too hard, so let's head off now through the rest of this trash towards the last boss. This is Ivon Coeurlfist. He has several fun mechanics. Firstly is Spirit Wave. This is an AoE attack that leaves behind a tornado to avoid in the room. Secondly is Hurricane Kick. This will do a 180-degree conal attack in melee range to avoid. Thirdly is Touch of Slaughter. This targets a player with a green marker. This player will then be taken to a very low health pool and knocked to the sides of the room. This player will be paralysed for a few seconds, unable to move, and will need to be healed very quickly, as the boss will likely follow up with another ability that could possibly finish them off. Past 80%, the boss will now use a wall of dragon heads with safe gaps to stand in at the same time as the new ability Silent Roar. This is a painful attack and a knockback, so you need to run out of this line AoE, avoiding the white dragon heads on your way. Being knocked into a dragon head from this attack is obviously a sure death. Another ability is Ralga's Peace. This puts a proximity circle in the centre of the room. You need to run to the edges as far away as possible to take the least amount of damage you can from this explosion. Shortly after this, the boss will use Rose of Destruction. This places a stack marker on a single player. This player must run to melee and be stacked on to soak the damage, splitting it between all party members. You will likely then get Hurricane Kicks and another Touch of Slaughter. Keeping players topped up after and before each of these AoEs is important as a healer, and can be fairly movement heavy, so consider Swiftcast Medica 2 and a Size in these situations, and possibly a bubble to stand in for these stack markers. At around 50%, the boss will shout, "The time has come," and whilst stood in the centre of the room summon loads of balls. These balls, once touching the boss, will buff his damage from his next ability. Instead of that, you need to run into all of them yourself as a party, As you do so, you gain a damage up buff that stacks per ball for yourselves. This is best done by the DPS, obviously, but if your group or a pug looks like they don't understand, then obviously anyone, including the healer and tank, should pick them up immediately to prevent the boss from killing your group. Once the balls are collected, you will need to keep people alive through his Furious Fists ability. This is his ultimate, which is repeated pounding of the platform, buffed obviously by how many balls he ate himself. The next phase is the last and is just a repetition of the first phase, with more dragon walls to avoid, AoEs to avoid, and stack markers. A really simple yet fun fight that keeps you on your toes and can throw some very painful RNG towards your group, especially from multiple dragon walls. But if you take it easy and slow, you're able to plan your next move without really getting yourself into any real danger. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you have at all enjoyed this, please consider a subscription, it helps a lot. And until the next one, I'll see you next time.